Back in the 60s, when it became increasingly difficult to think up something different, something new, you could turn a head or two by turning up in one of these, an Alpine A110. It's a sort of French equivalent of a Lotus, complete with backbone chassis enclosed in a glass fibre body shell. While Lotus used Ford engines, Alpine stuck a Renault unit right at the back. Of course, you'd have to be fairly eccentric to choose such a machine, and a taste for garlic and French bread would doubtless improve the image, but there'd always be the jokes about your rear wheels falling off. Inside the cramped confines of the cockpit, the driving position is actually very good, which is probably thanks to Alpine's racing pedigree. It's really quite cosy. I quite like it. But despite winning the World Rally Championship in 1971 and 1973, the energy crisis meant a drastic drop in sales. And sadly, the little French family company had to sell out to the mighty Renault empire in order to survive. But the spirit of the eccentric French sports car lives on in the Venturi. And this is their latest flagship. The 408 horsepower 400 GT. Since 1987, the Venturi company has produced 700 of their V6 Renault pad machines. And as well as this 400 GT coupe, the current range offers the 210 horsepower 210 and the 260 horsepower, you've guessed it, 260 in both coupe and cabriolet versions. The 400 GT is quite simply a racing car on the road. It's a development of the Venturi challenge cars that were used for a one-make series for what they called the Gentleman Driver's Trophy. Now, whilst the drivers may have been gentlemen, the 400 GT is not a lady. The Renault V6 in the back is now more Venturi than Renault, with its twin turbos adding some 150 horsepower to the standard unit used in the A610. The result is an engine that woofs, wheezes and twitters as the boost comes and goes. Just listen to this little lot. All this huff and puff produces performance figures to match both Ferrari's 355 and Porsche's new 911 Turbo, but it's all rather sudden. Below 4,000 RPM, it's fairly docile, and then everything happens in a rush as the power crashes in. Now, whilst the engine power delivery might be a bit brutal, the handling of this Venturi really is a big surprise. It is a beautifully balanced and very well-engineered car. The feedback through the steering is just what I'd want. It's exactly the right weight. The driving position is perfect. Even though I've got leather seats, I'm firmly held in position by these wings at the shoulder. This is much, much more of a driver's car than I ever expected. When it comes to braking, the 400 GT is a world trendsetter. It is the first production car to use carbon fibre brakes. They're so good that without any ABS, when it comes to stopping sharply, it does tend to lock the fronts a bit. Perhaps getting the balance right is a problem with these carbon brakes. In any case, they may be a bit of an expensive luxury. After about 20,000 miles, you'll need a new set of discs and a new set of pads. That'll cost you about £4,000. With a price tag of £98,000 in left-hand drive, you'd have to be fairly eccentric to choose the Venturi in preference to the cheaper 355 and 911 turbo. But the French like to think of the 400 GT as being more of a cheap F40. And in some ways, I can see their point. So, if you're into the garlic image and it's a French F40 you want, the 400 GT is a real bargain. But surely it would have to be blue.